In a strange and sandy land, a porter fights for his life against a weaker level mob, with him barely managing to win by using an opportunity to stab it from the inside. As the monster falls, the porter gets up and catches his breath, being glad that he can finally use his own strength to defeat a monster. That's when the awakened call him over, as he should be doing his job and collecting the mob drops since he is a porter. Did he think that he would just get to sit around here and do nothing all day? The porter apologizes profusely, and as the awakened turn around, they call him useless, unawakened trash. The world changed completely after the abyss was discovered deep within. The abyss is basically another dimension, where monsters that only exist in fantasy stories exist. After the discovery of this abyss, like clockwork, people with awakened transcendental powers began appearing. With their powers, they were able to explore the abyss and defeat the monsters that were inside. Thanks to all of this, the standard of assessing someone was no longer based on how they are, or how much effort they put in their work. It was all based on one's awakening rank. If one's awakening rank was high enough, they were basically guaranteed a pretty good life. However, that doesn't apply to him at all. He is a porter who only carries around the cargo of the awakened, and an unawakened that hasn't opened his status window in the 35 years of life that he lived. As long as he does not awaken, he will never be able to leave a comfortable life. As he turns around to say that he looted all of the bodies, the porter is shocked to see that all of the awakeners have died in gruesome fashion. But when he tries to back away, he bumps into something, or someone, who says that it appears there is only one left. This is the SSS-ranked monster, Asmodeus. Out of desperation, the porter tries to defend himself with his dinky knife, but with a single motion, Asmodeus blasts his hand away, which makes him fall and scream out in pain. Even so, he does not give up. But unfortunately for him, Asmodeus is eons away from him in terms of power, so he stabs him in the head with an ability, and slowly digs it deeper and deeper. As the porter dies, he wonders if this is truly the end. His parents passed away in a tragic car accident. At school, he was bullied without end, and all of his life, he lived ignored and alone, only because he wasn't awakened. He was a loser, but even still, even in these last moments, he still wants to awaken. As his blood starts falling to the ground, one single drop transforms into a light of other colors as the porter is transported somewhere else. Since the awakening conditions have been met, he is dragged to a golden stairway, where a mystical being descends. The porter attempts to make sense of all of this, and when he looks behind, he sees Asmodeus, who seems to be stopped in a moment of time. The being is surprised that he is still focused on Asmodeus after everything, which makes the porter ask who he is. The being says that even he doesn't rightly know, as some call him king, but he should not worry about that, as he will graciously bestow authority upon him from this moment forth. The porter is lost in his words. King? Authority? Just what is this being talking about right now? The king, almost as if reading his mind, says that it's to be distrustful, but the reason he chose him is because he admired his will and tenacity. Even in his final moments, he wished for more. However, he should think of this as a one-time thing, as this type of miracle will certainly not happen again. The porter still doesn't get what's going on, and tries to ask the king, but he says that he will have to be patient, as a day where he will understand everything shall come. But until then, he will have to thrive on his own, his precious key. As a flash of light appears in the porter's face, he is awoken in another place, where some people call him crazy for ignoring them like this, up until one slaps him, which awakes him from the confusion. He is met with a face that he didn't believe he would have seen again. Bae Hyuksu. As Taehyun wonders what this bastard is doing here, who made his life a complete hell, Hyuksu continues to slap him and ask why he's not answering. Is he trying to make him mad? That's when he remembers what the king said about authority, and opens up his stat window, something he has never seen before. He also notices that he is 19, which means that he regressed to 16 years ago. But if this is true and not a hallucination, it means that what the king did worked. He starts laughing out loud, making Hyuksu wonder if this bastard officially lost it. But when he asks if he wants an even bigger beating, he is met with a ferocious punch that sends him back. With tears in his eyes, he officially announces that he is an awakened too now. As he wipes the tears on his face off, Hyuksu's friends, who are also awakened, start attacking him. They will teach him a lesson in manners. One tries to hit him straight in the face, but Taehyun dodges this and hits him with an uppercut, before kicking the other friend who is trying to unleash some ice magic out of the way. For the 35 years that he lived as an unawakened, he did everything he could to survive. From physical training and techniques, to all the known information about the abyss and its monsters, He even mastered every interpersonal combat skill there is, so there is no way that he will lose against these weaklings, who don't even know the even most basic fighting techniques. He takes them out once again with his expert skills, but this time they fall for good. As Taehyun stands above them, he notices that he will have to redo his physical training routine if he wants to create a fighting body. Hyuk-soo slowly gets up from his unconsciousness and thinks that this is nonsense. Is he awakened? He just got lucky, but he will be sure to cripple him so that he never walks again. With that, he activates his stone skin ability, which strengthens the body. He tries to punch Taehyun with his rock-hard fist, which proves to be challenging to dodge, as his attack speed has also increased. As he dodges another attack, he is caught by surprise, as Hyuk-soo jumps high into the air and tries to smash him completely, with an attack that would have most likely killed him. As the dust from the attack clears, Taehyun tries to take him by surprise from behind, but unfortunately Hyuk-soo notices, and just turns around as he hardens his face, something which blocks his attack completely. Taehyun tries to defend himself from the incoming attack, but even with his blocking, he is still sent flying into the ground, which makes him bleed, although he is still conscious. As Hyuk-soo approaches, he tells Taehyun that he shouldn't have acted up, but now he probably came back to his senses, right? He should realize now that he is a slowly unawakened piece of trash. What is he even going to do now? Run away? Or perhaps try to fight with his awakened skill if he even has one? Taehyun thinks that all awakened possess a skill and a rank, starting from F rank, which is basically the same as a normal human, all the way up to S, which at that point, monstrous abilities appear. Unfortunately, what Taehyun possesses is a skill that is unknown, that he has never heard of before even with his knowledge. But worst of all, it's F rank. There is no way that he has a chance of winning against Hyuk-soo, who has a C rank skill. However, for some odd reason, he doesn't feel like he's going to lose, ever again. As his red aura starts permeating through the area, Hyuk-soo becomes scared, as he can't believe that the lowly Taehyun is really awakened. Taehyun feels like his body has been invigorated, and he can feel magic now. Is this the power of the predation skill? Hyuk-soo charges in once again, this time with much more rock skin on him, as he wants to take Taehyun down in one blow, so as to not risk his own life. Before his attack can even reach, Taehyun puts his hand forwards, and a strange dark being appears above them. With the predation skill slowly starting to consume Hyuk-soo's rock skin, Taehyun removes his ability with even greater will put into it, eventually eating all of it, as the rocks fall from Hyuk-soo's body. Everyone in class just chats like normal, and as if nothing has happened, but that's when the sky is colored in a dark red light from Taehyun's ability. After the dust clears, the results reveal themselves. Hyuk-soo was utterly defeated, and is now on the ground. As a result of his successful predation, Taehyun's rank changes to E, and he also gains a new skill, the same one Hyuk-soo had, Stone Skin. After their squabble, Taehyun decides to drag all of the guys he beat back to the school infirmary, with the nurse being rightfully shocked to see that all of them are extremely injured. After the fight ended, everyone was taken to the school clinic by Taehyun, with the nurse and her healing abilities being able to treat all of their injuries quite well. Naturally, he lied to her about how they got the injuries, explaining that they fell down the stairs, which she was naturally confused by, but let it go, as it probably isn't in her pay grade to be asking questions. Now that he is fully healed, he can go home, but he must say this is great, as he got revenge on his childhood bully and also awakened at the same time. What a treat. However, there is a problem in all of this. That problem being predation. His rank, who he barely managed to change after committing years and years to training, increased after one fight. The skill may be F rank, but it sure is more powerful than a C rank skill. It can even steal the skills of the opponents he defeats. But why did that king guy grant him this type of power? And more importantly, why did he make him regress? He has countless questions that need answering, but the most important thing he must do now is find out more about predation and how it works. He gets back home, which makes him smile, as after his parents died, he stayed with his uncle for a while, and they all welcomed him warmly into their family. He gets inside, thinking that the uncle will come back late from work, so he should go ahead and research similar skills to this one. As he walks around the house, however, he notices 3 goons standing above Jae-young, the uncle's kid. Taehyun wants to ask him why he's not at school, but that's when he notices that he's going through his father's cash. Even before his regression, he still remembers the time when this brat wanted to hang out with the other bullies and took all of the money in the house for it, which caused quite a large fuss around the house. To think that this would happen today, of all days. The boss of the bullies stands up and is surprised to see Young's cousin home so early, but why doesn't he just take a walk? He certainly doesn't get involved in this. They will just take what they are here for and leave. So he should act like the good little unawakened that he is, and walk away. Taehyun just looks at him, but then smiles. as this is the perfect opportunity for him to test things out. He suddenly punches the bully boss straight in the face and puts him to the ground, making the others quite surprised. With that, Taehyun moves on by using predation, which scares the bully boss. But when he tries to activate the skill, it tells him that the main function is inaccessible at the time. The boss is confused about what he's doing, but Taehyun is even more so, as he can't believe that predation didn't activate. The boss punches him away while he is confused, calling him a crazy bastard while he's at it, and then him and his goons unleash a flurry of spells on him. One unleashes bind, another poison, and the boss bleed. These 3 status effects fly towards Taehyun, who can't hope to react as they hit him all at once, filling the whole building with light. After that, the boss asks how he dared to fool them by acting like an awakened. He brought this upon himself. What a dumbass. Unfortunately, this is not over yet, as the usage of their skills has been sensed by predation, which confirms the use of all of the status effects and resists them, due to a mysterious power. Taehyun laughs, as this technique didn't work, yet it neutralized their skills as it pleased. How interesting. Before the boss can even wonder what's happening, Taehyun engulfs his fist with rock skin, and punches him so hard he breaks the floor. After Taehyun wipes the floor with the bullies, he thinks about what he learned. He can now use the status window even better than before, which shows the general information of the respective awakened, but not everything is displayed. Firstly, his mana was not lacking at all, yet predation did not activate, so aside from its normal description, there must be other factors besides mana that allow the ability to be used. Besides this, the passive effect of the skill also isn't mentioned anywhere, as it resists and neutralizes skills related to abnormal conditions, such as what he was hit with previously. Well, he will have to confirm all of this with more on the field research to test if it's true, but most importantly now, he has to take care of something else. He asks Young, who is bowing down to him, what he's doing. Young immediately responds, after seeing such an impressive spectacle from him, he has been deeply touched, and he reflected on his actions. He now begs for his humble forgiveness, just this one time. Whether it is licking his shoes like a dog or meowing like a cat, he will do whatever he wants him to do. Taehyun is surprised. He knew that this guy was a fox even back then, but to think it would be to this extent. Well, this is not today's issue though, as there is another incident that will happen today, something much bigger. He forgives Young, who is very happy, but under one condition, as they must go together to do something. At a warehouse, which has now become a restricted area, 3 awakened look at the Abyss Gate, which is broken, and now tons of monsters are pouring out. This is a phenomenon where monsters appear just as a path to the Abyss opens up too. If left unattended for too long, like this, a gate break will occur. The man says that it's been 10 whole years since the last dungeon break, but this gate was created and broke at the same time, which is very strange. The blonde woman notes that judging from the monsters, if they do not do anything, the monsters will continue to pour out, and eventually overwhelm them. The red-haired woman asks if they shouldn't evacuate the neighborhood, but the man tells her it's fine, as they have his skill barrier, which is B rank. Additionally, this is only a lowly C gate, meaning that the strongest monster that will come out of this gate will be only C rank. Even if they break through, like they did just now, they are more than enough to deal with all of this raffle, since they are B rank awakened. As Young and Taehyun run across the city, he explains to Young the situation, with him wondering if it shouldn't be okay, since the control personnel are already there to save the day. He keeps calling him sir after every sentence, which makes Taehyun tell him to drop it, but he is correct. The gate break's mana estimate is around C rank, so with the control personnel who are B rank, there shouldn't be any issues, and this event will be without casualties. Young notes that this is exactly what he's been saying, but Taehyun says that this is only if that dungeon really is C rank. Back at the gate, the awakened defeat the various monsters that appear, but the man thinks that it's strange, as weak monsters like these ones shouldn't be piercing through his barrier so easily. That's when he thinks that perhaps the mana coming from the dungeon might actually be of a higher rank. The women call him over, as something big is coming out from the gate. Sure enough, a large beast comes out, and with a single scream it breaks the barrier entirely. The giant ogre, which is rank A, laughs, as he knows that these weaklings will have their lives taken. The man can only be shocked, as he didn't expect for the dungeon to be A rank, but after thinking that, a sudden explosion occurs, seemingly taking them out. Young asks Taehyun how he would know all of this, as it doesn't seem like there are any monsters around, and there was no evacuation order from the government. Taehyun can't tell him that he regressed, so he tells him that it was just intuition, which Young doesn't accept as an answer. But that's when they arrive at a road where people are running from monsters, announcing that a gate has broken. Young doesn't even know what to say, as nothing indicated that this would happen. Taehyun tells him to go and do the thing that they talked about as he has other plans. More specifically, to get rid of these bastards. At the largest skyscraper in the city, a man tells someone that the situation has escalated far beyond their control, as a gate they thought to be only C rank has turned out to be A rank, and that gate has unfortunately broken. No reinforcements are possible, as other awakened are busy with the exploration of the abyss. So now, the only solution is for an A-ranked awakened to appear. He is their only hope for survival. So he asks for help from him, the Blade of Lunacy, An Hyun-soo. With tears in his eyes, he tells everyone to hang in there, as the hero named Hyun-soo is coming to save them. This guy's specialty is that he has 8th grader syndrome. Back on the street, Taehyun is easily taking care of the lower-ranked monsters, who prove to be no challenge. He also uses predation on them, which consumes all of their bodies in a split. As he presumed, the reason why predation didn't activate earlier is because of fatigue, as if he passes 70% fatigue, the skill will not activate. Most skills don't do this, and only use mana, but even with the other skills, fatigue is still an important stat to look after. As the higher it gets, the lower the power becomes, and the heavier one's body gets. It is rather unfortunate that he has to take so many things into consideration, but he also found out that if he absorbs the dead monsters, he can recover mana without using mana. Additionally, as he continues to do this, his rank also increases, with his skills also gaining ranks and becoming stronger. With this constant growth, he might even be able to become an SS rank, or even higher than that, the first SSS rank to ever exist. After he is done clearing out the monsters, Taehyun thinks that he should go back to Young and see how the situation is. But that's when he notices someone in the distance, who is fighting a red ogre, but is also monologuing. He tells the ogre that he will pay for the people he killed, and on this day, the great warrior of justice, An Hyun-soo, will judge him for his actions. Taehyun is not impressed by his act. Hyun-soo continues to fight the ogre, which proves to not be a challenge to him, as he cuts it up in tons of small pieces, and also creates a yellow explosion with his abilities. Taehyun is surprised at how easily he defeated that monster. This must mean that this awakened is the one who solved the gate break situation before he regressed. The Blade of Lunacy, Hyun-soo. He is just as strong as advertised. He is also just as dumb as advertised, since he acts like he's playing a superhero in some action movie. But why is he here in the first place? As before he regressed, he knows that he had a pretty bloody battle with a gigantic ogre that was on the other side of the city. As Hyun-soo prays for the citizens that were lost to find peace in the afterlife, Taehyun's skill activates as it has sensed a skill. Sure enough, someone decloaks from behind Hyun-soo and stabs him directly in the chest, which seems to be a crazed lunatic, who is glad to have finally caught the famous Hyun-soo. In a shopping complex, Young looks after the school nurse who has passed out, but wonders if this truly is okay. He remembers what Taehyun told him, that tonight, tons of people will pass away. One of those people will be their school nurse, Na-young, because she will be focusing on rescuing other people, rather than evacuating to save herself. He knows that he can put people to sleep using his sleep skill, so he should put her to sleep and drag her to a safe space, as he will be handling the rest. Young can only wonder how Taehyun knows all of this, but after thinking a while, he comes to a conclusion. Certainly this must be why. There's no other explanation for it. Taehyun is actually a future seer. He awakened with that skill. That's so cool. He could go crazy from it. Anyways, if he knows that much, nothing in his plan can go wrong. Taehyun thinks that something is very wrong with this situation, as this didn't happen before. Hyun-soo demands the identity of the man who stabbed him, but the man doesn't say. He is just surprised that he survived after being stabbed in a critical spot. Truly, A ranks are a different breed. However, this will make his hunt much more fun, as he likes the ones that put up resistance. This is the B-ranked villain Sangdo, with the stealth skill. The awakened who commit crimes using their abilities are called villains. And this one in particular is a maniac, who during the gate break, went around everywhere and murdered for his own enjoyment. But he is sure that he shouldn't be here. Did the future change because of his actions? Hyun-soo calls him an evil bastard, that he will righteously take down with his own 2 hands. As he charges in, the monster they were standing on starts to rumble, as it hasn't been defeated just yet, and it wants to get up. This throws both Sangdo and Hyun-soo away, with Sangdo noting that the ogre's regeneration ability is truly amazing, as expected of an A-rank beast. The ogre punches the ground, separating them, but Sangdo wasn't going to fight it anyway, as he will leave it to Hyun-soo. However, his hunt won't stop here, as he noticed this dear spectator a while ago now. With that, he charges Taehyun, as he believes that he will be an extremely easy target. In response, Taehyun makes his face rock hard and calls him a moron. This blunder allows him to kick Sang-do straight in the chin, who isn't that amazed by him, even though he is awakened. That's when Taehyun reveals everything about him, including that he is a murderer and that he has a stealth skill. But this is great, as he always wanted one of those. They begin trading blows, with their dance of attacks creating electrified gusts of wind. Sang-do laughs, as it seems he is skilled enough to be that confident. Who knew that a blade would be completely useless against him? He doesn't know how he knows about him, but he must be thinking that he will win, since his attacks aren't working. However, unfortunately for him, things will not go as planned. That's when Sang-do disappears completely using his stealth. But Taehyun stands confident, as this will not change the fact that he can't damage him. He tries to punch where he feels Sang-do is, but misses, allowing Sang-do to attack once again, with an attack that actually goes through. He begins laughing, as he has hunted many people like him, those who make mistakes only because they think of themselves as invincible. With his weakness now exposed, he will get flustered and eventually die. He better keep something in mind before he dies, however. All skills have a weakness. He strikes Taehyun once again, who didn't expect for Stone Skin to have this kind of flaw. The skill isn't actually blocking the attacks, as the shock breaks the stone, with the crushed part being replaced by a formation of lower quality stone that breaks easily. This murderer was aiming for this all of this time. As he expected though, he is positive now that a hand-to-hand fight is still doable even against a higher ranked opponent, so his physical abilities are also increasing. He says that it's about time he wraps this up, which makes Sang-do laugh as he goes in again, as this boy must have been driven mad from desperation. Taehyun asks if he knows why he wanted them to meet, but Sang-do thinks his blabbering, up until Taehyun unleashes predation, and says that he wanted his skill. Sang-do can't believe how wicked this mana feels. Was this bastard hiding this all this time? However, even with this ability, he won't be able to do anything with it if he doesn't see him. Taehyun says that he told him that all skills have a weakness, and that includes his. He realized something after eating the monsters. Even among the monsters, countless of them escaped his sight, but not a single one truly escaped. Predation hunted them down without mercy. So it doesn't matter where he hides now, as Predation already has his scent. Sang-do can only scream, as the skill touches him and cuts him into bits, with Taehyun taking his skill for himself. Morning eventually arrives, with Hyunsu on the ground, defeated. He thinks that if it wasn't for the villain, he would have been able to do something, but it seems that even the invincible warrior cannot defy death. The giant ogre inches closer to him, ready to take his life, but when it punches the ground, Hyunsu isn't there anymore, as Taehyun, who has used his new invisibility skill, has rescued him. After everything is done, Taehyun goes back with Young to their home, with his uncle and aunt being very glad to see them both, as they thought something bad happened because they found the house completely ravaged. But Young assures them that nothing of consequence happened, which Taehyun can't confirm nor deny. In the news, it is revealed that, as of this moment forth, the gate break warning has been lifted. Due to the chance of another subsequent outbreak occurring, the government has closed schools for a week, and as news regarding the survivors keep coming in, concerned families and spouses breathe a sigh of relief. The awakened, who managed to survive the whole ordeal, are still in the hospital, and the school nurse details to the police how she inexplicably appeared in this place. Hyunsu, who is showered in attention because of reporters, announces that he was not the one who took down the gigantic ogre. The true hero is somebody else, somebody with a true heart. Even with this good news, the ogre's corpse has not yet been discovered, and the whereabouts of the villain who is reported to be attacking the public are still unknown. Thus, people are concerned that the safety precautions put in by the government may not be sufficient enough. Taehyun watches all of this on his phone at night, and stops, as he heard enough. He did so because he wanted to find out if there is any information about him, which there isn't. So he's glad about that, but now, it's time for him to advance to the next level. He opens his stat window, which shows that he now has 3 skills. Getting the stealth skill really was a good thing for him, but with his current powers, it's too hard for him to use all of these 3 skills at once. If he recklessly charges in, thinking that he can defeat anything, he will run out of mana in no time, and if he also gets the fatigued status effect, his life may as well be over. The best measure he can take against this are potions that can recover both mana and fatigue respectively. However, they are not that easy to obtain, as they are pretty expensive, so he must hunt to earn that cash. One needs to have a legal permission to hunt. Even using skills requires a permit, otherwise it's considered illegal. All of this leaves Taehyun with a single choice, to explore the undiscovered dungeons. As he enters the dungeon, the B-rank Spider Sisters wonder how a lowly human found them, as they were pretty well hidden. But no matter, as they will paralyze him. and feast on his blood. Taehyun is surprised that they are intelligent enough to talk, but they are only B rank, which isn't enough to change his rank with just a few. Does he have to eat hundreds for that? The sisters think that he is being truly arrogant. This human does not realize the position he is in. In unison, they all spit out balls of web at him that combine to create a bigger attack. The sisters laugh at Taehyun as the ball flies towards him, as he will suffer a fate worse than death. But Taehyun just smiles, as the web is a stat effect, which predation easily takes care of. The Spider Sisters are quite surprised and actually try to reason with him, but their blood-curdling screams can be heard from inside of the train passageway, as Taehyun consumes all of them. With that, he also gains a new skill, paralysis. At the new South Korea Player Association, some pretty important people are having a meeting behind closed doors, with the deputy manager, Taewook, thinking that he can't believe he's meeting two of the association's best players. This term player is basically an awakened who is permitted by the law to use their skills for various objectives and abyss explorations. This includes dungeon clearing and the like. Currently, there are 5 player centers of the new South Korea Player Association. Out of these, 4 are a part of the 4 great guilds, the largest guilds ever. The Fighters, Undivided, the Crafters, Alchemists, the Mages, Magicians, the Informants, Nightwalkers. Additionally, there is also the authorized agency that manages players, including the 4 guilds. The new South Korea Player Association. Right in front of Taewook, there are 2 amazing players. The Guild Master of the Nightwalkers and an S-rank player, Yu, and the chairman of the new South Korea Player Association, also an S-rank player, Ji Jinhui. He asks Yu if she found out anything about the Malignant Guild. The Malignant Guild is an organization of criminal fame formed by the most brutal villains. The guild members wear gold rings with 3 skulls carved on them to represent where they are from. Yu gives him a paper containing the movements of that guild along with a list of players they are targeting. But she is sure that he didn't call her over just for this document. So what is this truly about? Jinhui laughs and says that actually he wanted her opinion on something. He asks when she took the player test, which she responds with 19 years ago, though she still remembers it pretty clearly. She seems to understand what he's trying to ask, and Jinhui asks her directly, does she think that a high school student could rival a monster in a one-on-one fight? Taehyun, who defeated everything in that undiscovered dungeon, now has a backpack full of gems. So he calls the Alchemist Guild, as he wants to buy some potions off of them. The 7-day school closure order eventually came to an end. What Taehyun did in those 7 days was physical training, dungeon clearing, and of course, peddling with the Alchemist Guild. When he first presented them with so many mana stones, they were shocked and treated him like a special VIP. Thus, he was able to get a lot of potions. Besides all of this, his stats also increased by a little, but his rank is still C. He has a long way to go, however. He still has to go to school, unfortunately. Every single one of his classmates are surprised by his sudden change in attitude, and they also heard rumors that he beat Hyuk-soo and his friends to a pulp, meaning he must have awakened too. One says that whatever happened, he is in real big trouble now. As with things escalating to this level, someone he doesn't want to ever mess with will certainly show up and flex his prowess. That person being Lee Jung-jae, who just came into the classroom. The reason he has so much power is because he is an S-ranked awakened. Jung-jae is the 3rd-generation child of the Taehyun Group, a conglomerate that sponsors the Taehyun School, and he is also the boss of all of the bullies in here, as well as the bastard, the filth who ordered Hyuk-soo to bully him, only because he was unawakened. Jung-jae asks Taehyun how his old friend has been doing, but Taehyun laughs. Old friend? A damn bastard like him? He should cut the nonsense and get out while he's being nice. One of Jung-jae's lackeys asks how he dares to talk to the boss in such a disrespectful manner. But that's when Jung-jae punches him and asks if he's blind. Did he not see that they were having a damn conversation? He moves back to Taehyun, saying he understands he might be thinking he's powerful and out of the mud because he beat Hyuk-soo. However, he should be more careful, as he is certainly not at the level to talk back. Taehyun feels his burning mana all over, which indeed is all quite amazing, but this only makes him wonder, how will that power compare to predation? Before he can activate his ability and gain a new one, a classmate comes around and stops him and his goons from continuing this. This girl is Lim, who also tells Taehyun to stop what he was trying to do, as she saw it. Lim has many titles: class president, the young lady of a rich family, an S-ranked awakened, a model student, so on and so forth. She is actually expected to gain even more titles soon enough. But one problem with her is that she does not compromise, like at all, and she never backs down. Jung-jae tells her that she must be confused about something, as they were both just having a friendly chat about some things. Nothing to worry about. Lim says that there was nothing friendly about what she saw. as what about his friend who he just punched in the face? Jung-jae gets mad now and tells her to watch her tone, as she has said enough. Lim tells him that if he's not going to leave of his own volition, she will be using force, so he should walk away, while she is still feeling nice. Taehyun thinks that if this keeps going on, the entire classroom will become a medley of ice and fire. But after Jung-jae and Lim give each other deadly glares, he decides to leave, as he had no intention to fight in this place anyways. That was a trick, however, as at the same time he turns around and tries to unleash an attack, while noting that he won't allow this type of disrespect. Before any of them can activate their abilities, the school speaker dings, as there is a special announcement from the broadcasting club. A special lecture has been organized by the Player Association in the main hall, so all of the students are expected to come there immediately. As Jung-jae hears this, he rethinks his actions and looks at Lim, who is still ready for battle. He smiles, and as he leaves he says that he sure got lucky, but he wonders how much that will last. He closes the door behind him with a loud thud, so Lim turns around and asks Taehyun if he's alright, but he's not even there, as he is in front of the doorway already, noting that they should go too, since it's the Player Association they are talking about here. Lim is extremely confused by his confidence. Was he really always like this? At the main hall, the students wonder why the Player Association is here, with some speculating that it's because of the gate break. Eventually, the lecture starts, with Taewook introducing himself first. He says that today he is here for 2 reasons. One is to apologize for the lack of response from the Player Association, as they were not quick enough to act on the gate break. But the second reason is to inform them of the changes to the player tryouts, for those of them who have awakened and will be the future of this country. Jung-jae is still mad about Taehyun, with Lim thinking that she should ask him about the situation after this. The different students wonder what this has to do with them, as the player tryouts start at the age of 19 after all. Taewook says that they are correct or were correct, but he wouldn't be informing them about it if it wasn't important to them too. Due to the recent gate breaks and the large rise in the number of dungeons and monsters alike, the player organization has become understaffed. With this in mind, from now on, they will allow tryouts even for high school students. The students are pleasantly surprised by this, with Taewook continuing. Nominees from each school will be chosen based on some factors, such as ability assessment score, academic record, and behavior. Taehyun smiles, as what this guy is spouting out right now are pure lies. These tryouts will be open to high school students, sure, but the selection process is already underway, without anyone knowing about it. That is done through Taewook's skill, the Observer's Eye, which stands above everyone without a single person noticing. This skill is able to quantify the sum total of the subject's power. Upon focusing, it even allows the user to view the stat window of the respective target. Taewook uses this ability and notices that this school will certainly produce better results than other schools. They will all make great players, but among all of them, these 2 are the most awe-striking. Jung-jae with a total score of 1924, and Lim with a score of 2335. The Nightwalkers did in fact give him a list of recommended people to check out, but he can't believe that there are so many untrained awakened who could potentially be the most powerful they have ever seen. While thinking of how to write the recommendations for them, Jung-jae suddenly raises his hand up. He notes that, if he is here to inform them about player handouts, aren't some candidates all ready for that? Meaning that the player tryouts are meant to assess awakeners who are suitable to be players, so he doesn't believe that an unawakened person should be among them. He knows too that strength is not all that makes a player, whether it's the rank of awakening, ability to work under pressure, and vast knowledge of the abyss and its creatures. To become a true player, a number of complex skills must first be acquired, but in the end, all of these complexities come back to the awakened. So an unawakened has nothing to do here, right? Taehyun scoffs at him. Is he willing to go this far only to find out if he's awakened or not? Jung-jae is doing just that, as he wants to see for himself. Lim tries to make him stop, but then thinks that Taehyun will just become rude because he doesn't want her help, so she sits this one out, as she doesn't care anymore. Jung-jae asks Taewook to just send the unawakened out of here, but even if he gets what he's saying, it's up for the student to decide if they want to attend or not. Jung-jae asks Taehyun how he's not humiliated, as he must be dreaming about becoming awakened. Or perhaps, he just doesn't care about the tryouts? Taehyun just smiles. Does he think that is actually possible? Sure, without proving himself as awakened, he can't get a peek at the tryouts, but to get recommended, he really doesn't need to show his powers. Taewook thinks of Jung-jae as pathetic, since he is bullying others. But what does he have with Taehyun, as he is just an unawakened with unknown latent rank? A pitiful existence, truly. That's when he tries to analyze him, but it just doesn't work, surprising him quite a bit. Taehyun says that he's right. He really was thoughtless when he came here. What use would it be for a lowly, unawakened person such as him to attend a lecture like this? It would only hurt his pride after all. So he will get out of this shitty place himself, without his help. They can stay cooped up in this den and keep praising each other. Jungjae is very mad at him now, as he probably has never been flipped off before. Taewook is still amazed that his ability didn't work on that boy, as this wasn't a problem with anyone, not even the chairman or you. This never happened before. Yet that boy is defying all the rules. Before he walks out fully, Taehyun stops and looks directly at Taewook, who notices his true power and the figure next to him. After that, Taehyun goes to the library and starts reading books to maybe figure out more about the king. But that's when Jungjae's goons come and tell him to come with them, as the boss is looking for him. Taehyun asks what happens if he refuses this, so the goons threaten him with his aunt's restaurant. This is a straight message from Jungjae, so he shouldn't take it the wrong way. He is an orphan, an extremely athletic one. So does he really want to give his aunt a hard time when she is already seeming to struggle in her business? Before he can mutter another word, Taehyun punches him so hard the entire library is in bits and pieces, with him leaving only one of the goons conscious. He will not ask him this twice. Where is Jungjae? Eventually, Taehyun arrives at the school gym where Jungjae is, accompanied by an A-rank player and his bodyguard Hundo, who is surprised to see that Taehyun is resistant to a lot of status effects, as he has been trying them on him, but nothing seems to work, indicating that he is at least an A rank. Jungjae knew that he actually awakened, but if that's the case, they should have a friendly chat, right? His words really have been crude, but he has no intention of hurting him at all. In fact, he has a proposition for him, one that he cannot refuse. He is actually going to form a guild after he graduates and becomes the heir of his fortune. But even someone as genius as him cannot do anything on his own. Does he understand what he is getting out? What he needs is pure talent, not like that idiot Hyuksu, but real talent, just like he has. So he should forget about his old plots of revenge and come to work under him, as not only will he give him more wealth and honor than he imagined, but he will also make his family rich. Taehyun thinks that what he just said now is a load of crap, Scout, honor and wealth. Unfortunately for him, he crossed a line already, one that he cannot uncross. Jungjae is shocked at his words at first, but then smiles, as he forgot that dogs like him need to be trained. With that, the fight is on, and Hundo creates a room, a skill which makes a space unable to be detected from the outside. With this, nobody will bother them in their fight, so he can sit back and enjoy the show. Jungjae and Taehyun punch each other's fists, with Taehyun being pushed back, since Jungjae has much more power. Next, he kicks Taehyun away with a giant explosion, which makes him spit out blood. Jungjae laughs, as this dog must finally know where he stands now. Hundo feels kinda sorry for Taehyun, as even though he probably has a high-grade body strengthening skill, and is also an A-ranked awakened, with combat skill and mental power that one wouldn't expect from a student, it's hard for him to find a reasonable opponent. Unfortunately for him, his opponent is someone who is epitome of power, an S-ranked awakened. Taehyun has no real chance of winning. He'd better give up and learn his place in the world. He will suffer less if he does that. That's when he notices something strange. Jungjae is actually getting pushed back and hard, to the point where Taehyun throws him around. He thinks that this is impossible. Was the young master really overpowered in a strength competition? As he wonders, Jungjae screams at Taehyun, demanding to know what he did. As he cannot move, Taehyun stands above him, and is glad to see that finally the paralysis is working. Even with Taehyun's 3 skills, he wasn't able to utilize all of them from the start, as C-rank paralysis can't go through S-rank resistance easily. Stealth will be easily blown away by his flames, and predation shouldn't be used so carelessly. So Taehyun's real objective all of this time was to accumulate paralysis in close combat. Status effect skills have greater effect when dealt up close, so with the damage dealt with the paralysis attacks, even an S-rank resistance will fail. The bodyguard thinks that Taehyun is a genius, as he suppressed an S rank in a hand-to-hand fight, but the fight isn't over yet. Jungjae apologizes, as he admits that he underestimated him, but there is no way he would lose to a bastard like him. So from here on out, they will fight seriously. He crushes a small purple stone, revealing his true power. He starts attacking Taehyun even harder, with him trying to retaliate, but his attacks are immediately caught in a bubble and burned away, exploding afterwards. The bodyguard thinks that this is Jungjae's true power, the Flame Heart skill, which is S rank. It would be difficult to draw this out normally, but using the mana amplifying stone, which is created by refining a normal mana stone, it's possible. However, this is also a problem. He warns Jungjae to stop, as he will kill his classmate and he is also in danger. As this much magic power is too much for his age, his blood vessels might burst. In response, Jung-jae aims an attack at him and tells him to shut it, as he is only a bodyguard. This bastard dared to humiliate him, so he will not let it slide. He will be punished for his dog actions. With that, he hits Taehyun with an attack that would make a normal person burn to a crisp, and laughs, as he thinks that this is over. The bodyguard charges in, as if he actually kills that student. There will be hell to pay. He goes to the hole that Taehyun was put in, and tells him to give up and run away, as he will deal with the young master. But in response, Taehyun punches him away, and notes that he was the one to pick the fight anyway. How can he back down now? He admits that S ranks are different, so from now on he will also get serious about it. At the player association, the chairman is shocked at what Taewook is telling him, that there are students with that much power level. They are both S ranked awakened, but even so, for untrained awakened to have this, it's something far beyond anything they have imagined. Will they be able to finally challenge the Saintess of Japan with this? Taewook looks down and thinks about the Saintess, one of the leading players of Japan. She surpassed 2,500 at the ripe age of 19, but even such a monster like that one only surpassed 2,500. So why on earth does Taehyun have 5,096? As he walks away, he thinks that maybe it was a hallucination, but he can't know until he checks it out once again. He must. The bodyguard is shocked at what he sees now, as Jung-jae's power is being suppressed. He doesn't believe it, as he cannot be overpowered by a scumbag orphan like this. He is the heir of a powerful family. He is S rank. He is Jung-jae. Taehyun says that even with his heir status and rank, it does not matter, because what he is facing now is a power that surpasses nobility, the power of a true king. With that, the predation engulfs Jung-jae, and a giant explosion occurs that can be seen from the outside. As Jung-jae slumps on the ground and the bodyguard trembles, Taehyun is quite surprised that he had the courage to jump in front of him. He never expected for him to do this, but it's fine since he got his skill already. The bodyguard asks what he's going to do now, as the young master is still an important person, so the aftermath will be quite bloody. Taehyun asks how he dares to threaten after he was the one that instigated the fight, but he will not cower, not at all. Still, he shouldn't worry, as he doesn't plan on killing him, but he wants something that is worth his life in return. Since he is the heir of such a prominent family, 1,000,000,000 should do just fine. Everyone from the school gathers around the gym, with Lim thinking the worst, as she recognizes those flames and mana. It's from Jung-jae. She also believes that he was beating poor Taehyun to a pulp, so she passes the nurse and jumps in, as she was wrong. So if something happens to him, it will all be her fault. So she begs anyone who is listening, for Taehyun to at least make it out alive. When she enters the gym, however, she is shocked to see Taehyun alive and well, while Jung-jae is passed out on the ground. He is glad that she came as she needed someone to help this bastard out. She can take him to the hospital, can't she? She naturally asks what's going on, but Taehyun says that he must have fallen down the stairs. Anyway, this has nothing to do with him, so he asks her to not tell anyone he was here. As she turns to him to ask more questions, he seemingly disappears in thin air, and makes it away from the school in no time. With this done, he can now check what he got. He opens his status window, revealing that his stats increased, but he also got the Monarch's Heart ability, and 5 Charm from Jung-jae. He is surprised by this, as Charm is a useless stat that only celebrities use. But he also got the Monarch Heart instead of the Flame Heart, which allows to boost party members' stats. He thinks that this is an amazing skill, as skills that affect multiple people are extremely rare. And for someone like him who can use multiple skills, the Monarch's Heart will allow him to combine a lot of things. This is far beyond anything he expected. Suddenly, 3 black cars stop in front of him and Taewook gets out, noting that he has tons of questions for him, but first, he will start with the most important one. What did he do in that gym just now? At Jung-jae's home, his father gets the news that his only son is in the hospital, and the one who beat him is asking for 1,000,000,000 won from him, while also wanting the matter to be dealt with quietly. The bodyguard says that it's precisely so, but he apologizes, as he wasn't able to do anything. The father tells him to fulfill the wishes of that student, as he is quite interesting, but he must also pay for his disrespectful act. As he snaps his fingers, 2 figures appear, which the bodyguard thinks of as too much, as that is still a student, a child. He can't send these 2 there. The father tells him to shut up, as he will not tolerate him barking around anymore. This is the S-rank player, Lee Jung-soo, the president of the Taehyun group. Taehyun wonders what Taewook is doing all of the way here. But what gym is he talking about? The one that he caused an explosion in? Or the incident in the lecture hall where he showed his power? This guy is at the rank of the association deputy manager. The chances of him actually involving himself in a fire so small is minuscule. But what if he is here because he knows that he's the one behind it? Well, he will just have to test him. With that, he asks him if he means the explosion, which Taewook is confused by at first, but then notices a fire behind them, probably his doing. But it's alright, other agencies will rush to take care of that. No need to worry. He wasn't talking about that, as he has not gotten a straight answer from him. Just what exactly did he pull at the gym? Taehyun smiles, as it seems Taewook finally fell into his net. He asks if he doesn't know already, but he must be here to give him an invitation to the player tryouts, it seems. Taewook laughs. Player tryouts? Why would he even say something like that? Taehyun says that if he wants a cause, he will give him one. He starts activating his power, revealing a score of 5,214, and asks if this is enough to please him. Taewook and his associates are amazed, as in such a short time, this student has already grown stronger than before. This means that the number he saw back at the school was no fluke. Kim Taehyun is the real deal. Before he can ask more questions, Taewook asks what happened to his clothes, as they seem rather charred. When Taehyun goes back home, he tells Young about the player tryouts he got invited to, which he is shocked by, so he starts treating him like a king, the God Emperor Admiral Majesty, the great Taehyun. He tells him to stop this mockery, but also thinks that the Taesin will most likely take good care of the gym matter, so that it doesn't blow out of proportion. So that should decrease Taewook's suspicions of him, anyway. Since the tryouts are in a month, he just has to focus on training so that he can be the best there is. Hopefully he will have the time to do that, as he doesn't want any more problems. That's when someone calls him, someone unknown. Unfortunately, outside of his home, the two shadowy figures appear, catching the player that the association put up as a bodyguard for Taehyun, which they are surprised about, but it is also pretty annoying. Well, it's probably because he is a player candidate. Those guys are protected pretty well, since they are future prospects, but not good enough it seems. This is the two-person assassination unit. The Black and White brother. The older body is named Black, an A-rank villain, with the stealth and body strengthening skill. The younger brother, White, a B-rank villain with only the stealth skill, notes that even if he's a prospect, he's just a kid without any real battle experience. So a very easy target for them. Black agrees. They can be called prospects, but without any experience, they are worthless. So they should show him what a true awakening looks like. As he turns to his little brother, he sees that he's getting beaten to a pulp by Taehyun, who got to them before they even notice. Black doesn't know who he is yet, so he charges in while demanding his identity. But Taehyun chooses to answer his question as he throws White out of the way, and charges in with a rock-covered knee attack, which hits Black fully. He's the inexperienced kid they were eagerly talking about. A few hours earlier, when Taehyun was still in the gym, the bodyguard was shocked to hear the sum he was asking for, as besides keeping everything silent in this matter, he cannot pull out this much cash on his own. Taehyun already knew that, so since he is not a bastard who holds simple employees responsible, he is just asking him to do a good job at reaching an agreement with his boss. However, just in case he thought of betraying him, he should think otherwise, as they will seal the deal with this. This is an awakened oath, a contract of sorts created using magic. Breaking such a contract will result in a random penalty that is permanent. The conditions of the contract were rather simple. Firstly, along with the compensation of 1 billion won, an effort to clean up this mess will be initiated. Sure enough, this was successful, as the news reported the explosion as a simple gas leak with no injuries. The second condition was to inform him of any actions against him for revenge, which he did, as he revealed the location of the brothers to him earlier. Black tries to hit Taehyun with all that he's got, but he keeps dodging and eventually finds an opportunity to strike. But Black is also swift and jumps out of the attack's way, high into the air, allowing him to try and land on Taehyun with force. But he gets out of the way. From behind, Taehyun reveals his identity as one of the assassins that specializes in stealth attacks. But unfortunately, it seems he's only good at that, as fighting skills are to be laughed at. With that, the fight ends with Taehyun's victory. In her limo, Yu talks with the chairman, hearing that she heard that he already chose the participants for the player tryouts, meaning that this will be a gathering of all of the prospects in their country. So who is he looking forward to seeing most? The chairman says that there are tons of remarkable people to choose from, but what he wants to see most is her younger sister, as she has real potential. Yu says that this is to be expected, unfortunately, as that family she is in doesn't tolerate anything worse than that. The chairman says she's as harsh as ever, but who is she looking forward to? She says that she had a general idea, but then she heard something quite amusing. Putting the S-rankers aside for a moment, Taewook personally contacted a student, so she is curious to see that student, as he must be quite skilled for Taewook to go personally. Taehyun tries to use predation on the two brothers, but it doesn't work, as he does not have enough physical ability, so he is unable to use predation due to an overload. Eventually, the association members Taehyun called over to deal with the brothers arrived. Noting that these bastards dared to mess with the association, but also with a player candidate, they must pay the capital punishment for their crimes. Taewook thanks Taehyun for telling them about this, but might he know who is behind the attack? Taehyun thinks for a second, and then says that he does not. Taewook then thinks that the list of participants might have leaked, so he has to ask for tighter security in order to keep everyone safe. Taehyun does know who sent the assassins, but won't tell, as if he puts the Taehyun group in the spotlight, things will only become more bothersome for him. Additionally, that isn't even his main problem right now, as his ability doesn't work. He thinks about it. If he's unable to use it because of physical abilities, then he needs to raise his stats. But the only way to do that is through predation of monsters or others, so that leaves him with only a single option. At the Blackhead Gym, a woman by the name of Yura welcomes Taehyun and Young inside, but then notices that they are children, with Young freaking out at Taehyun. Blackhead is one of the most bougie gyms out there. Only people with money or power are allowed to register here. She tells them that this isn't an average training center, but Taehyun gives her a card, and tells her to use this to register 2 people, an SVIP card from the Alchemist Guild. She wonders where he managed to get this from. Is he the disciple of a high-ranking player or something? But even with this, if she allows them to register, things might become troublesome. That's when a buff man starts flexing as he comes their way. As he has sensed that someone is in trouble, he tells Taehyun that money is not enough to get into a place like this. This man is named Iron Strongman, a B-rank trainer with the muscle augmentation skill. Young thinks that this is an extremely cool name, with the other gym goers noting that it's over for those new kids, as Strongman doesn't let anyone go. He thinks that Taehyun is trembling at his name, but he asks, why is this dumb weak musclehead yapping about? This angers Strongman, who asks if he dared to actually call him weak. Taehyun says that if he doesn't believe it, they should bet on it. The loser pays the winner's membership for a month. Strongman laughs, as it seems that he doesn't know his place, but if that's the case, he will make this bet interesting. They both connect to a virtual reality device, with Young wondering what that thing is, as it looks like the abyss inside. Yura explains that this is a VR program, the Virtual Porter, a virtual world that is identical to the abyss, where competitions are held to eliminate the most B-rank monsters as the contestants race to the finish in the shortest amount of time while carrying their maximum weight. It is most definitely the most popular game to establish the hierarchy in the gym, but that kid can't hope to win against Strongman. Inside of the virtual world, he laughs as he goes through the monsters, as that brat can't ever win against him. His muscle augmentation makes combat easy, his mobility is amazing, and his all-around skill is something that he never could have imagined, not even taking into account the amount of weight he is lifting. Unfortunately for him, Taehyun doesn't play around, and in a few swift movements takes out all of the beasts in front of him. Next he moves on to the others, not stopping at all. Even when he is surrounded, he finds a way to crush all of the monsters into bits, granting him a 999 hit combo. After this, Taehyun notes that he didn't plan to hit this machine for another 30 days, but this is most definitely a way to train considering his maximum weight carry. Anyway, since he won the competition fair and square, he expects Iron Man to pay up and get lost from his face. Eventually, the day of the player tryouts finally comes, with tons of people lining up for the exam. With the association now allowing minors to participate, people of every age and walk of life have to prove their worth. But the awakened they are looking for the most are these talents. The close combat expert, Iron Fist A ranked Hong Junwook. The A rank druid, who challenges even S rankers, Lee Gilsan. The thunder god of Busan, S rank Shin Yunbok. The awakened who is rumored to have the best numbers, the S rank Lim Ah-young, and many other talents are waiting for the exam eagerly. A reporter by the name of Kim Gi-ha from Psy Economy has the objective of interviewing test takers. But the line is too long, so she thinks that she won't ever make it. She will be lucky if she manages to snap a picture. As she laments, Taehyun appears behind her and wonders how he's supposed to pass all of them. Really, this entire event is a hassle to go through. Seeing an opportunity, Gi-ha reaches for him and asks if she can perhaps interview him. Taehyun makes it to the testing grounds with just 1 minute before it starts, due to a certain reporter taking a lot of his time, but whatever, as he should think about setting up his image now. Tons of people are gathered in a single room, where eventually, Taehyun bumps into Lim, who's extremely shocked to see him so tall and toned out. He says that this is because he trained a little bit, but Liam thinks that it wasn't a little bit, it was a lot. How can he change this much in just a month? Before she can ask what she did with Jung Jae, The test manager welcomes them, as they are the future of their beautiful country. This will be the first test to select the awakened who will become players. So here are the rules. Everyone should have an exam ticket on their chest with their exam numbers. The test is to collect 5 of them, including their own. In other words, if they do not have their own ticket, they fail. With that out of the way, it's time to start. The time limit is only 1 hour. All methods are legal except murder. Test, start. Everyone is surprised by the sudden transformation of the arena. For some reason, a lot of people choose to target Lim first, but the moment they even get close to her, she blasts them away. The association members that are looking at this are amazed. Truly, Lim is a powerful candidate, but they should also look at Shin, who seems to be also wiping out anyone who dares to get close to him. Taewook sits behind them and looks at his own screen. He thinks that their interest is understandable considering the ranks. However, he is the only one who saw those unbelievable numbers. He is sure that Taehyun will go through this test without worry, so he should show them the true power he has been hiding. When he looks at Taehyun, however, he sees him fist-fighting with Jungwook, which shocks him to no end. Taehyun and Jungwook continue to trade blows, but Taewook doesn't understand why that A-ranked awakened is pushing him back. Did he misjudge his abilities? Why isn't he dodging? That's when he finally gets it. He knows why he's not dodging. As Taehyun charges in once again, Jungwook punches him very hard in the face and tells him to stop looking down on him. As Stone Skin has nothing against its perfect counterpart, Iron Skin. He cannot win if he keeps fighting like this. Taehyun says that he talks way too much, as he isn't doing this just for the thrill. His stats start growing, as even with a month of training the seal on predation was not lifted, because his stats aren't good enough. So the only way for him to increase his stats is to stimulate his body as much as possible, meaning that fighting to the bitter end is the best training method. This is why he still considers this training. With a powerful punch, he finishes the fight and he gets a token. Taewook laughs out loud, as this guy really isn't normal at all. The others look at him as he does this, but he doesn't care, as using this exam as training is so bold, it's sending chills down his spine. However, there will be a problem in the future, as he needs to conserve stamina, target the weaker guys and win. That is a perfect strategy that he is sure Taehyun will do. Unfortunately for him, Taehyun has other plans, as he goes straight for Shin, who now has 147 tickets in his possession. Taehyun tries counting them, but gives up, as he needs only 3 more to pass. With that, they start fighting. Shin keeping Taehyun light on his feet, but he is also not defenseless. As the moment an attack almost reaches him, lightning zaps away any danger. Shin congratulates him for being so fast, as he couldn't even see through his attacks at first. With a large zap, he pushes Taehyun away, who thinks that he didn't expect for Shin to be so tricky to defeat. Not only does he have the capability to envelop himself with powerful lighting that acts like a shield, he also has enough destructive force to attack in both melee and range situations. Without predation, it will be difficult to even reach him. Suddenly, Shin notes that if he doesn't want to come to him, then he will do so, and charges in with a charged attack that Taehyun deflects, resulting in them trading blows again. But it's clear Shin has the advantage, and eventually catches Taehyun off guard, zapping him hard while noting that he was the one who wanted to fight. So why is he running away now? Taehyun resists the urge to fall unconscious, and tries one final large attack. But Shin just zaps it away, and then flashbangs Taehyun, allowing him to go high into the air and hit him with a devastating array of lightning. As he does that, he laughs, as this guy is still resisting. Truly, this is a lot of fun. Everyone was busy running away from him. He thought that Lim would be the only one to challenge him, but he is fortunate enough to have found a fun toy that keeps surviving. As he thinks that, a single rock passes through his attacks and lightning shield, hitting him straight in the forehead. Before he can even wonder how, Taehyun goes behind him and throws a bunch of rocks his way, making him bleed. The stone skill is most certainly not the god's fury match. It's far from piercing him. Even at its best, it would just get crushed. However, in this place, the tryout grounds, things are different, as it's made of material that can withstand awakened attacks. So even if it shatters, it will not lose its shape. With all of this, Taehyun decided to use it as a weapon, and with this, it pierced through Shin's defenses, allowing him to end the fight with no resistance. The player association members are amazed to see that a C ranker actually beat an S ranked. Just who is this guy? Taewook is pleasantly surprised, as he seems to be already making tides in people's thinking. But that's when he notices something strange. As Taehyun picks up the tickets and thinks that he can now just wait for the exam to finish, a pillar of ice comes his way. And soon enough, an array of ice that engulfs the entire area he is in appears, creating an orb with no way of escape. Naturally, the only one with ice abilities is none other than Lim, who seems to be hell-bent on eliminating Taehyun. He wonders why she came here and how long she's been watching, but then she suddenly speaks. She believes that with power comes responsibility, as power without that is just mindless violence. She admits that he is strong, but she did not expect that he would take down Shin in that manner. But now that she's thinking about it, he probably defeated Jung Jae in the same way. That's when she starts using her ability, making Taehyun immediately cloak and try to run away, but her attacks splash all around, making his invisibility skill useless. Before he can even turn around to face her again, she closes the gap and kicks him in the face, explaining that when they met at the gym then, she really believed in him. She stupidly thought that he is different from people like Jung Jae, that he would not use his powers purely out of self-interest. But after seeing him fight now, she finally understood that he is just like them, everything that happened with Jung Jae. And here was all his doing. Her attacks continue until they eventually send Taehyun flying. After he falls to the icy ground, Lim says that using skills without authorization is illegal, and she knows he was the one that sent those two to the hospital. Even though he deserves it, she will not report him. In exchange, he will withdraw from this tryout, as he does not deserve to become a player. Taehyun tells her to cut the shit. Who the fuck is she to say that? She couldn't even muster enough courage to end Jung Jae's tyranny, power, responsibility, deserving. When it comes down to it, she was looking for an excuse to eliminate him. He would rather let her use the test as an excuse for this, than acting so pathetic in front of him. Lim is shocked by his words, but then says that she understands. If that's his final answer, she will not go easy on him and make him drop out himself. As Taehyun looks at her, he thinks that he cannot use stone skin, since it was already shattered into bits. Stealth will not work here because of the snow. Monarch's heart is already active, but it's not enough. Predation is still sealed and he has no stamina to use paralysis. In the bitter end, he has only one technique left that may turn the tide of battle. He charges in and Lim does the same, with the snow arena shattering. The association members wonder what happened because they can't see yet, with Taewook eagerly waiting. But when he spots what is going on, his eyes widen, as well as the eyes of the members, who are too stunned to speak. In a successful effort for survival, Taehyun pinned Lim down and kissed her, something which she is also extremely confused about. When he charged in, he jumped over Lim's attack and directly kissed her, but that was only from the looks of it, as he actually used his paralysis skill. Abnormal status effects work better in close range, and if directed inward, they have a much higher chance of success. So Taehyun infused his blood with paralysis, and made Lim swallow it. So even though she is S-ranked, he successfully managed to paralyze her, and he also apparently dealt psychological shock to her, gaining 3 charm. He is glad that it actually worked, but with this, the test has ended, so everyone will be moved to the medical area, where they will be healed. After the first round came to an end, all of the injuries were tended to by a medical team, and even though Lim was paralyzed, she still had enough exam tickets and combat time to pass. As for Taehyun, he got 7 tickets, and because of his victories against 2 S-rankers, he became the center of attention, with the other people there being amazed by him. But some think that he used petty tricks. As he walks and admires the healing abilities of the medics, Shin suddenly attacks him out of nowhere and says that here, he will not be able to pull the same tricks in order to win. The others notice that a fight broke out between those two, so they start cheering for Shin, as they also believe Taehyun is a cheater. But Shin zaps them away, as they have nothing to do with this. He tells Taehyun that they should now fight fair and square. He will show everyone that he is nothing without his tricks. As he laughs, a sudden energy appears all around them, and Shin is immediately sent to the ground and knocked out, with Taehyun also being pushed down, but he's still up. The test manager comes around and says that he can't catch a damn break with these brats. Why are they acting up? They should know their place already. This is the S-ranked player, Park Sungjin. He is one of the best players in the association and a future SS rank player. Taehyun knows all about him. Sungjin notices that someone is still standing, so he pushes Taehyun even further, but he refuses to kneel, even though he feels the difference in skills. Sungjin becomes even more interested, as not even veteran players could hold against this, so he should find out if this will be enough to put it down. Before he can do that, a doctor screams at him to stop, as these kids just got out of treatment. Does he want to put them back in before the second round? Sungjin says that he was just playing around with them, but the doctor knows when he lies. He did it to test their skills. If the chairman hears about this, there will be consequences. He turns around and asks Taehyun for his name, which he says, and Sungjin recognizes him as the C-ranked who defeated 2 S-rankers. It's really been some time since someone interesting appeared. He taps his shoulder as he leaves and notes that he must be aiming for the S-rank, so he will be waiting for him at the top. The doctors start chasing him away, which Taehyun can only look at. After everyone is healed and ready, they are sent to a forest with a bunch of dungeon portals. Sungjin picks up the mic and hopes that they had enough rest, as the second round of the tryouts will begin now. The venue of this test is a real gate that they will pass through and find themselves in a D-rank dungeon. The students are shocked to hear that they will be going in a dungeon with real monsters. But Sungjin explains that for every 5 examinees, there will be a supervisor who will look out for them. But this is not a free pass, as they will be evaluated on all their actions while in the dungeon, with any necessary items and weapons being provided by the association. Taehyun didn't expect a dungeon, but it makes sense since everyone who passed must be powerful enough, and they also have a supervisor to be extra safe. Unfortunately, this is not a D-rank dungeon, it's the S-rank double dungeon, Apocalypto. At first it was believed to be a D-rank dungeon perfect for the tryouts, but it was discovered to be the first double dungeon ever discovered after the first party who went in was slaughtered. It would be great if he could warn them, but nobody would believe him. So he will just mind his business and go in. As long as he is not in the first party that discovered the dungeon's real identity, he can survive. When he goes inside of the dungeon, his face becomes tired as he sees who his supervisor is. The A-rank player, Ma Do-hak. Side note, this guy is a part of the party that first discovered Apocalypto, so in short, Taehyun is fucked. The other contestants easily take care of the golems that are inside of the dungeon, with Do-hak congratulating them for their impressive combat decisions, even though this is their very first battle. He can tell right now they are definitely fit to be players. The others feel overwhelmed by the amount of praise coming from their instructor, but Taehyun has other concerns, as he laments having to be on the first discovery team. Even if the future may have changed with him, he still thinks that this is the team, as Do-hak is wearing the unique that the first discoverer of the double dungeon was wearing, the Sage Ring, an item that 10x boosts in strength, stamina, speed, and mana. Even with these stats, the Apocalypto double dungeons is still S-rank, so he needs to not get swept in it, as he will not survive without predation in its state. He has to make sure that these guys don't find Apocalypto, not even a hint of it. Eventually, the party arrives at a crossroads, with one of the player candidates asking Do-hak what they should do. He tells them to remain calm as this happens all of the time, so first they should take a majority vote to see where to go. In that second, Taehyun just rushes forwards, with Do-hak urging him to come back, as it's very dangerous. Taehyun, however, does not stop, as he doesn't want the decision-making to them. He will make them go into a different direction, so that they never find Apocalypto and live longer lives. Unfortunately for him, his actions are his undoing, as he lands right next to the Apocalypto dungeon, something which makes him sweat and breathe heavily once he sees it. He can't believe that even though he ran about, this is still where he wound up. Before the others can reach for it, Taehyun screams at them to stop, as this gate is different from any other normal gate. It's weird, so they should report this incident before doing anything. Isn't that the correct thing to do here? Do-hak agrees. Certainly this is his very first time that he sees something like this, and reporting it back to HQ would be the wise thing to do. However, a player sometimes needs to act unwise, so they should try going in. Before Taehyun can ask him anything else, Do-hak pushes him aside and says that he fully understands his concerns, but the mana he is sensing from this gate is minuscule, not worthy to worry about. It's a mere D-rank dungeon. Even if something happened, they have an A-rank player with a unique item in here. Inside of the dungeon, rules don't matter. Even if they did, exploring the dungeon will definitely score them even more points than any others. Taehyun tells him that even so, the exploring rules are still in place, even though this is a test. Do-hak turns around and points at him. He is the one who defied the rules first, isn't he? The others jump on him, as he was the one that ran away to this place. And how does he dare to question an active A-rank player like this? Taehyun can't believe the gall on these people. But Do-hak says that with this, it's decided. Before Taehyun can urge him to give this more thought, Do-hak snaps his fingers, and a white light engulfs all of them, which sends them to the S-rank dungeon, a dungeon that they have no place being in, Apocalypto. The hall they were sent to seems to be guarded by a large knight. The player candidates question Do-hak about this. Wasn't this dungeon supposed to be D-rank? Taehyun tells them to shut it as it's too late now, so they should look in front of them as they are coming. From the fog, 2 A-rank Death Knights approach, making Do-hak's world crash onto him as he starts sweating bullets. He tells everyone to get prepared for battle, and that's when the Knights charge in, with a powerful double attack, which the party manages to dodge, allowing Do-hak to retaliate by creating a bunch of lava spikes and impaling the Death Knights with them. This allows the player candidates to start attacking with everything they got, be it flaming swords or rocky shields, all of this while Do-hak guides them. Eventually, they do manage to take down the Death Knights, with the player's candidates thinking that they are safe, and that they could actually take many more of these. But he will soon eat his words, as an elite squad appears behind them. ready to take their lives at any point. This naturally shocks the player candidates, but not Taehyun, as he is checking the corpses of the other Death Knights, and notices that something is seriously off in this place. The fight with the Death Knights continues, with Do-hak trying his best to keep them at bay, but they just keep coming, and what's more, is that the player candidates are at their limits. If this keeps going on, they will all die here. Taehyun comes around and tells Do-hak that something is wrong, with Do-hak being amazed that he isn't tired at all, even though he fought for so long, same as them. Just who is here? Additionally, if he didn't have the Monarch Heart skill, they would have all died a long time ago already. He asks him what is, and Taehyun explains that he's just taking a guess here, but these things are not Death Knights, which makes the other player candidates think he's talking nonsense. What have they been fighting all of this time? Taehyun picks up one of the big swords and says that he will find out right now, so they should sit still. He engulfs his fist in rock and charges into the countless Death Knights, who all try to pierce him with their attacks, but he jumps high into the air and jumps over them, aiming to attack the large Death Knight that stands motionless in the front. He eventually pierces something, making the entire room start to crumble, and the Death Knights who are behind him to disappear. The others are shocked to see this happen, and Taehyun comes around to explain. This was actually an illusion trap, which showed them an imaginary space and enemies. It is a tactic used to drain the energy of any intruders. One of the player candidates says that it can't be. They struggled this much against a mere illusion? Do-hak also asks how he knew this was a trap, as he shouldn't have fought with a Death Knight ever before. Taehyun notes that even though he does not know much, there is no way that the Death Knights are really this weak. This statement shocks Do-hak, but Taehyun tells them to get a move on, before they get attacked by something else. Even after the illusion faded away, things did not get any better, as after Apocalypto manifested, the dungeon was completely transformed from its usual self, and the injuries that were inflicted in the illusion battle got worse. But they also couldn't just find a way for someone to come and rescue them. Their only hope of escaping was to find the dungeon exit. Eventually they find it, as Do-hak feels it's just right before this skull-infested gate. One of the candidates asks if it's not even more dangerous, but Do-hak says they have no choice here. This time, it's really do or die. When they open the gate, they see a single Death Knight bowing down, making the player candidates laugh. However, as the night rises, more and more of the room lights up and eventually the entire room is revealed, with an entire tall room being absolutely filled with Death Knights, something which these guys can never hope to defeat. Suddenly, a loud laugh can be heard from above. These lowly humans actually dared to come all of the way here. How brave. But now, the final battle will commence. This is the Master of Apocalypto and the Lord of the Death Knights, an S-rank creature. The Death Knights all pull up their weapons and then aim them at the group, with one of the candidates asking why they are doing this. Taehyun notes that they are requesting an one-on-one duel, making the candidates go insane with fear, as they don't have a chance. Taehyun tries to calm them down, but they start running away, as they would rather wait things out. But unfortunately, the Death Knights do not allow them to leave, as with a single powerful slash, one kills all of them. Taehyun is shocked, but tells Do-hak to take this girl and go, as he will stall for time and find a way out of this mess. Before he can fully turn around to him, Do-hak pushes him away and seals the entrance with his abilities, making Taehyun ask what the hell he's doing. Do-hak tells him to shut it. How dare a lowly awakened person like him act up like this? In truth, he also wanted to become an S-rank player. However, no matter how much he improved and trained, it was never enough. This case was his chance. If he could solve this, he could get treated better and perhaps rise to the next rank. But in the end, he took the lives of some innocent candidates. As a Death Knight attacks him, he uses his wind ability to slash it. He tells Taehyun that even if it infuriates him, he has talent to rise through the ranks. He is different, so he should take the injured away and run as far as humanly possible, because as their supervisor, stopping them is his sole duty. Taehyun is amazed by his spirit, but unfortunately the girl he was carrying already passed away. There is nothing they can do. With a large thud and explosion, the wall behind Taehyun explodes, as the knights have taken Do-hak down, with his last words only being heard by Taehyun. The knights move past the bodies they laid on the ground, and one points the sword towards Taehyun, who only now has felt true fear. The Death Knight requests a duel, as he is the last one remaining. Taehyun notices something glistening on the ground. Do-hak's unique ring. The knight takes his silence as a refusal to the duel, so he attacks him, but Taehyun moves swiftly to grab the ring, as this is the only thing that can rescue him now. He puts it on and begs for Predation to finally wake up. As the knights charge in to finish his living days, Predation engulfs all of them and consumes them whole in a red flurry of destruction. The Lord is shocked by that amount of power. With all of his stats being increased by 10, the conditions have been met, so the seal on predation has been lifted. Taehyun continues to fight using predation, but the knights just keep rolling in, without any sign of them stopping. He thinks that predation takes about 10 seconds to consume, so he can't only depend on this skill. He must use all of the other ones and his knowledge to get out of this place. Only then, he might have a chance of survival. As he continues fighting though, something rather big hits the exact spot he is in. A gigantic spear, which he notices that was thrown by the Lord himself, who is now commanding all of his weapons to fall down on Taehyun. He tries to dodge them, but even he cannot match their speed. So in a last-ditch effort for survival, he tries to use predation on the Lord. But with a single sweep of his dark hand, the predation breaks. The Lord admits that he is indeed powerful, but he is biting more than he can chew here. With that, he hits Taehyun with his dark blade, standing above him with his boot on his head. Before he dies, he has one last question for him. Who gave him this power? He tries to use the knight's roar ability on him, but Taehyun resists it, even though it seems that it hurts him. The Lord already knows that unlike the other humans, he could understand him from the get-go, so he should speak now. Who dared to bestow this power upon him? Taehyun continues to scream, but inside of his head, he stands in front of Asmodeus, beside him, the bodies of his comrades, and behind him, the Lord, preparing to cut off his head. He feels that nothing is different than how it was before. Questions like what exactly predation is, and how a human like him can understand the monster language, he is too tired to ask them anymore. He acquired this power in a chance, but still, nothing really changed. Why did that king even give someone like him this kind of power? That's when the king answers. He already told him why before. He was simply touched by his tenacity and determination to not give up, even when facing death. He does not need to change at all. He just has to move forward, no matter what. Taehyun's eyes start growing even redder, with the Lord noting that he must not have strength to answer anymore, so he will grant him the mercy of death. This is his end. However, predation starts to rip through the Death Knights that were above, something which surprises the Lord. But he laughs, as this insect is trying to go berserk with that skill of his, but his condition will worsen because of it. Taehyun continues gaining stats, but the Lord continues to laugh, as he enjoys this last struggle. Truly, this has entertained him more than any court jester could. He tries to attack Taehyun with a powerful earth-splitting blow, but even if the attack lands, Taehyun blocks it with his hand and asks if he's still curious about what this power is, because he will show it to him firsthand. With this attack, Taehyun advances to B rank and pushes the Lord back. He picks up a weapon from the ground and charges in, with them trading countless blows. As the Lord starts to crack, he becomes even more enraged and uses all of his power to send numerous weapons towards Taehyun, as he will not lose against a lowly human. With one clench of his fist, Taehyun creates a mouth of the predation, which rushes to consume the Lord, who now stands defenseless. Taehyun tells him that this power is not a human power, it is the power of a king. With that, the Lord is killed in a powerful explosion. Taehyun also gains a new skill, the Night King's Spirit. As the people wait for the remaining party to come out of the dungeon, the gate switches up to an S rank 1. The evacuation order has already been given out, but the people inside of the dungeon will get the message later due to this fluctuations. The dungeon might break before they get a support squad. Sungjin damns it all, as how can a D rank dungeon suddenly turn S rank? At this rate, everyone around here will die. Will he have to go inside all alone? That's when the gate starts to fluctuate even harder, making everyone think that it will break. But from inside of it, comes Taehyun, who says that he's finally back, although just barely. Thanks to Taehyun's efforts, the double dungeon incident ended with its discovery. The other candidates evacuated with no issues, and the results of this round were based on assessments from before the second round. The corpses of the deceased were retrieved and reached their families for a final goodbye. The chairman now speaks with Taewook and Sungjin, explaining that they had to hide who actually cleared Apocalypto, even if it came at the price of the press questions endlessly. However, if they did reveal it, Taehyun would have become the target of the press and the villains alike. Taewook agrees that it can't be helped, with Sunggil also agreeing. The chairman thanks them for their understanding, and then asks what they think about Taehyun, the person who cleared an S-ranked dungeon alone. Sungjil notes that considering all of the facts, he should at least be considered an S-rank player. Taewook says that with his rank lower than that, the power he owns is hard to estimate. The chairman asks if they mean what he thinks they mean, with both of them looking at each other and nodding. There is a pretty high chance that in the future, Taehyun will get the rank of a nation's entire power force. Inside of his head, Taehyun is in front of countless monsters that don't even see him. He wonders what he's doing here, but that's when he notices the king standing above him, with the monsters also screaming out for him. With one movement of his divine hand, he erases all of the monsters away, amazing Taehyun. He then says that he will be waiting for him, in the deepest parts of the abyss. That's when Taehyun wakes up in a daze, surprised to see that it was all just a dream, but it was too vivid. This was something different. Just what did he mean by telling him that he will wait? There is this skill, predation, that even S-rank monsters know of, and the fact that he can understand them. These questions have no answers. So does he need to go deeper into the abyss to find them? He checks his status window to see his increased stats, but most importantly, his rank raised, and he gained a new ability. He is glad to see that he is finally raised in rank, and with these stats, he could rival S-rank players. Additionally, this ability is the same one that the Lord tried to use to put him down. As he admires his growth, he hears a few thumps and cracks beyond the door. That's when a person opens the door and says that they are extremely rude to not let her visit a sick person. The chairman really thinks so bad of her. This person is revealed to be you. As they drive away from the hospital, Taehyun asks what a guildmaster of a prominent guild wants with him. She says that she's simply dropping him off at home after he got discharged, as he deserves it. But Taehyun doesn't believe that a guildmaster would come all of the way just for that. Yu congratulates him for being sharp, but then asks him if he knows what the third round of the tryouts will be. It will be a survival game similar to round 1, but an outsider can actually watch it. Then his powers will become public, and all of the guilds will start hunting for him. So she would like to make him an offer beforehand. Money? Power? Fame? He can gain all of this if he finds the One Piece. Sorry, if he joins her guild, the Nightwalkers. She thinks that this is an offer he can't refuse, but he does just that, as he is not interested in the slightest. Taehyun eventually gets off the car, thanking Yu for the ride, but he feels like walking from now on. She asks why, and if he even heard what she proposed, she can give him anything he wants. Anything in this entire world. Perhaps he already got an offer from another guild, but he shouldn't misunderstand. Theirs is the best for him. Taehyun finds this kind of annoying, so he explains that there's no real reason for his rejection. There really is no other guild out for him. But is the Nightwalkers really that special now? He is saying no because he doesn't want to, so he will be leaving now. Suddenly, Yu snatches him from behind and asks what his deal is in all of this. He just started his player journey, and he dares to reject one of the 4 great guilds with no reason? That doesn't make a lick of sense. However, she will forgive him, but only because she likes him. Her subordinate tells her to stop doing that to the candidate, and also tells Taehyun to take the offer, as he is gonna join another guild anyway. Why not theirs? Taehyun says that he knows where this stubbornness is coming from. It's no wonder she's related to Lim. Yu asks how he knows about that, and then Taehyun reveals that he knows more about the stolen name too. As he says that, the entire alleyway they are in is engulfed in green light, as Yu has let go of her limits and is holding Taehyun by his neck. The subordinate thinks that this is going to be bad, as Yu's real name is actually Lim. She was raised by the Yuksung Group's CEO as the heir of his fortune and power, but everything changed when another daughter was born into the family. She was stripped of her name and reduced to only an outsider. The fact that she changed her name after becoming a player is something known by only a few people. She asks how he dares to talk about something like this. Is he out of his mind? Taehyun says that she is the one who started it, so she shouldn't feel shocked if something happens. He starts to push her away with predation, shocking Yu, who wonders how a C rank can push back an S rank like her. Taehyun stares at her for a while, but then takes a step up and pushes her to the wall, noting that they should not cross a line that they would both regret crossing. Yu starts blushing, and the subordinate is rather speechless. The next day at the Coliseum, everyone gathers around, as it's the venue for the 3rd round of the player tryouts. This round is different from the others because an audience is allowed, allowing families and friends to support the competitors. Yu also came to watch using a disguise. Taehyun's uncle and aunt are also there, who wonder if he will be alright, as they heard the tryouts are brutal. Young tells them not to worry, as Taehyun is strong, stronger than anyone here. He promises that much. Young has become the president of Taehyun's fan club, which now only has one member, him. The reporter, Giha, is also there, who thinks that she has to get a good story now, as her last interview was thrown away because it was of C-ranked, who by now probably was already disqualified from the tryouts. She might actually get fired if she doesn't get anything good. That's when she overhears someone say the atmosphere around there is strange. And sure enough, when she looks, she spots that tons of awakeners from all sorts of ranks are staring at Taehyun. Are they actually going to join forces to beat up one guy? How strong is he? That's when she notices that he is actually smiling. With this, the test begins, with Taehyun continuing to smile, as nothing can stop him now. As soon as the round begins, all of the candidates charge up their powers and blast them towards Taehyun's direction. as they wish to get rid of him instantly, since he took down 2 S-rankers previously. They must get him out of here now, before he even has a chance. Unfortunately for them, even with their attacks, Taehyun still presses forward, and with his might and speed, he easily takes down a group, who are eliminated on the spot. When Taehyun stops, however, tons of green vines appear that capture him in a prison. All of this done by the guy in front of him, Lee Gilsan, an A rank who thinks that with this, he has won. But with one movement, Taehyun gets out of his restraints and puts him down too, as he doesn't want to waste any time on weaklings. Seeing that this guy is plowing straight through them, they think of the genius plan to attack him constantly, as surely he will get tired at some point, right? To shut down their plans of conquest, Taehyun uses his new ability, the Night King's Spirit. A sudden red mist starts to engulf everyone's minds, and they all fall to the ground as Taehyun exudes the intimidation of a being that they would never wish to face. Even the public feel this pressure, with some of them barely being able to breathe. But Taehyun does not stop. Yu watches all of this and thinks that he has gone mad. Why did he use this area of attack ability right in the center of this arena? Eventually, it looks like Taehyun has taken down basically everyone, but then says that there is one more person he needs to take care of. From the dust and mist comes Lim, who barely held her consciousness as he used the Night King's Spirit. Taehyun asks what she wishes to do, as he does not mind her resigning right now. Or perhaps, does she want a repeat of the first round? This makes Lim blush, and her response is to create another arena, just like in the first round. With a sudden scream, she calls out his name and tells him to worry about his situation, as she will not let him do as he pleases any longer. Taehyun isn't too sure about that. Their fight is fierce, with the ice and snow of Lim scattered everywhere. But unfortunately for her, it's not enough, as she didn't even make him kneel. But he admits, she was the most difficult opponent out of everyone, so she should stand proud, because she is strong. With that, the player tryouts have ended, and the top qualifier of this is none other than Taehyun. For his efforts, he is given 2 rewards by the chairman, a knife and an award. The chairman congratulates him for becoming an S-rank player, and also says that he did not expect for him to finish the 3rd round all alone. But perhaps it was to be expected of the person who cleared Apocalypto alone, right? Taehyun picks up the knife and says that he was simply lucky. A short moment of silence falls on the room, but suddenly the chairman asks Taehyun to join the new South Korean Player Association. This offer shocks Taehyun to say the least, but the chairman is very serious about it. He thinks that a lot has changed from his past, aside from the fact that he awakened and became an S-ranker. He even got scouted out by Yu, and now the chairman of the new South Korea Association. He smiles, as this is all pleasant. The old him would have jumped at these opportunities. However, now, he has changed. He decides to respectfully decline the offer, which confuses the chairman, so he asks why. But Taehyun says that he does not have a special reason for his refusal. He merely believes that rather than being a member of any of the 4 great guilds or the association, he will do much more by working alone. That is why he apologizes, as he couldn't be of any use to them. The chairman is truly shocked by his words, but then starts laughing out loud, as he has never imagined him to say that he would be better off alone. That level of confidence needs to be studied. But if that is the case, he has another opportunity for him, something which he can't refuse. Does he perhaps want to participate in the Asian exhibition games? The next day, as Taehyun clears another dungeon with his predation ability, he thinks about the Asian exhibition games, which goes like this. 5 representatives are chosen from the associations and guilds of all of the countries in Asia, for a festival of hunting villains and monsters. However, to be picked as one of these national representatives, one needs to prove themselves by hunting down monsters and villains for the sake of the country, so basically, merit points. The chairman said that it should be easy for him considering his history of sudden advancements, but that's easier said than done, as he just became a player. To even catch up to the merit points everyone has been stacking over the years, he needs to hunt down monsters and villains that are way stronger. Recently, he has been clearing all of the dungeons known to the association, for about a month, but even without thinking about the merit points, he has not been able to advance much further in abilities either. He has no choice but to go into dangerous places, but the rewards should suffice, considering the risks. Inside of the mansion, Lee Jung-soo smashes his glass of expensive whiskey and starts to strangle the bodyguard once he hears what the bodyguard said, who is now begging him to calm down. Jung-soo asks how he can calm down when the heir of his group, his own son, is still in the fucking hospital. What's more, is that the culprit is now an S-rank player that continues to rise up, yet he wants him to calm down. He smashes the bodyguard in the ground. And that's when his assistant comes, telling him that there's a guest from the Malignant Guild at his door. He gets mad about this too, as how dare they show their face after not being able to get rid of one single brat. They are now stuffing their faces with the money he gave them. They ought to be ashamed of themselves. Before he can say any more, a dark presence permeates throughout the room, as the guest from the Malignant Guild just phases through the door. He says that what happened to his son was just an unfortunate event, but he should calm down now, as that brat isn't his group's final target, right? He also forgot to introduce himself. He's the Vice Guild Master of the Malignant Guild, but he may call him Shadow. Eventually, Taehyun gets out of the portal, which sends him right to the front of a building, where a man awkwardly says that he is going to be his guide for the auction he joined. He is also an A ranker from the Alchemists. He also reveals his name to be Park Jeonwung. It's truly an honor to meet His Excellence. This guy is a hired bodyguard by the Alchemist Guild for the auction, and also a member of Taehyun's fan club, with his skill being gate manipulation. This must be the reason why Taehyun landed here. He starts fanboying at Taehyun, and even asks for his autograph, which he will frame in his home. But Taehyun isn't that impressed, to say the least. This place is where the greatest auction in Asia is held, East Point, the largest in scale within Asia. The auctioned items here are of top quality. They also have automatic interpretation support, so on and so forth. East Point has a lot of positives, but among them, the best would be considered their security. Taehyun asks Wung if he's alright with having that autograph on his forehead, but he continues with his explanation. Bodyguards from the guilds such as himself are definitely an important role in the protection, but the constant changing of their warp point makes it impossible for anyone to reach this place without approval. That is why they have not had a security risk in the past decades. Taehyun agrees that indeed, this place is like a fortress, but today, a large-scale attack devised by an S-rank villain will take place. That is the reason he came here in the first place. As the auction continues, and the woman who is in charge of the auction tells everyone about the next item, the Phoenix Potion, Taehyun stands above as he waits. All he has to do is this, as the villain's attack will certainly happen soon, and all he needs to do is defeat him for some easy merit points. At the same time, however, he has no information about this, as in his past life, the news only said that there was some serious damage caused, and that the culprit was one Narendra Nairu. The other important question is, who stopped the attack? As Wung comes over with ice cream in hand, Taehyun asks who the chief security officer is. Wung is quite frightened by this question, which makes Taehyun ask if it's something that he should press him about, but Wung says that it's fine, as it's not that, it's something else entirely. That's when someone from behind them notes that he did not expect to see the 12th S-ranker from South Korea, and also one of the youngest S-rankers in history. He must say, he is so very glad to meet him. This man is Isaki Ryohei, a Japanese S-rank player, the chief security officer of this place, and also has a very ominous nickname, the Devil. Wung tells him to be mindful of how he acts near him, as he has previously stabbed his own comrades if it meant that he would gain something from it, hence his nickname, the Devil. He reaches out a hand to Taehyun as he says that he heard from a little bird that the South Korean Association sent a genius over here, but he did not expect to meet him here in person. What a joyous situation. Taehyun notices that he's trying to handshake with his left hand, which he is mindful of, but thinks it would be rude to not accept, so he does just that. But the moment they connect hands, a surge of power starts going through Taehyun, as Isaki starts laughing out loud like a maniac. Who would have thought that he could endure this personal test of his? It seems that even if he's half-baked, he is still an S-ranker. Taehyun thinks of escalating the situation, but then notices that the pressure is getting to the harmless civilians that are next to them, so he cannot do that. Isaki laughs again as he says that this was just a prank, but perhaps it was too careless of him to go this far on a kid like him. However, he thinks that this was a pretty good lesson for him, as he may be S-rank, but they will never be at the same level. He does not know the reason he decided to come here, but he shouldn't try to pull any stunts and get lost if he values his useless life. With that, Isaki leaves, wishing him fun at the auction while laughing away. Taehyun looks at him and thinks that things will be much more difficult with this bastard around. At the unbreachable gates of East Point, a handful of people stand guard, but that's when a man of what looks to be Indian descent and a dozen others arrive. The guards wonder where these people came from, but the head guard tells them that they do not need to know everything, only their orders, to take care of anything that dares to come through the gate, but they should only assist him if things go bad, as an A-ranker like him should be more than enough. After the fight is over, a large monster consumes the head guard as its final reward, while the man, who is revealed to be Narendra Nairu, thinks that this is a splendid spectacle. He is also an S-rank villain with unknown affiliations. The group of people he was with come around and one of them says that a surprising variable has appeared inside of the auction house, with one Kim Taehyun, an S-ranker from the new South Korea Association, also being present there. Do they need to change up their plans? Nehru says that he will not deviate from the plan because of some trash from Korea. As long as he is present, nobody can escape his divine revelation. That's when an explosion occurs inside of the auction room. But not only there, as tons of explosions occur all over the place, without any rhyme or reason. Wung asks Taehyun if he's okay, and notes that they need to evacuate right now. but Taehyun is more shocked that the explosions happen throughout the entire structure. How did the attackers come in, and since when were these bombs put in place? Well, he can think about all of that later, as now he needs to take care of these bastards. In front of him, one of the attackers holds a man hostage and screams at everyone to hand over their valuables and any other things, as resisting will only lead to their death. Unfortunately for him, it leads to his death, as with a single slash, Taehyun takes his head off and also kills the other attackers. He tells Woong that he should go let the association know about this, and also request some reinforcements. He will go catch the perpetrators of this attack. The last of the guards try to protect the items from the auction with their lives, but with one command from the leader of the group, they are all slaughtered without mercy, and the items are left to the attackers. The main thing they came here for is the Phoenix Potion, which is a unique item that permanently increases stamina and mana by 20 points each time it is consumed. Now, he understands why Naru wanted this so badly, even if they put their lives at stake for it. If he drinks this, he may gain unimaginable power. That's when a controlled attack takes down one of the group members, with the others, who are calling him Dyke, telling him that there is an attacker inbound. That's when, one after another, the remaining group members are taken out, with Dyke realizing that the one who's attacking them is a stealth user, allowing him precious time to dodge an attack that would have killed him. Knowing this, he activates his ability, which makes tons of chain links appear and capture Taehyun. Dyke calls him a fool, as attacking with only stealth makes him think that he's underestimating them, but that will be his undoing, as now, he is as good as dead. Taehyun is pleased that he found a skill that can go through stealth, so he will do as a decent substitute for his predation skill. At the control room of the warp gates, tons of people are gathered in the middle. Additionally, there are also countless monsters in there, waiting to feast on their flesh. Naru laughs, as with this matter resolved, all of the people shall fear their true god even more. One of the subordinates comes around and says that there is a message from Dyke's group who went to get the Phoenix Potion, but there seems to be a problem. That's when the radio that the subordinate is holding starts working, and the person over it asks if he's speaking with Naru, something which makes him furious. He asks for his identity, but Taehyun only says that he is the one who has what he desperately wants. If he wants this precious item back, then he should come down here right now, like the weakling that he is. Seeing that there's nothing else to do, Taehyun starts drinking some of the Phoenix Potion, which increases his stats and also freshens him up. For a unique, it's definitely in its own league, as he cleared countless dungeons, yet his stats did not increase at all. But with one sip of this, he gains amazing stats that will allow him to protect the potion from the others. Suddenly, Isaki and his team arrive at the scene, where they only see the bodies of the dead and the loot. The team think that the people who sent the SOS message must have run away, since there is nobody here. But Isaki tells them to look a little bit closer, as the perpetrator is right in front of them. He should stop hiding in plain sight and reveal himself. Taehyun decloaks himself and says that this is unexpected, as he was sure his skill was perfect already. Isaki asks what an S ranker like him is doing over here, but Taehyun asks him the same, as he is the head of security, so he should go and clean up this attack. Isaki laughs and says that there is an item he is looking for, giving Taehyun enough information to make an assumption. From the start, he felt that something was off, as he is sure that the bombs would have been found with so many bodyguard players and his own trained team. But what's more is that Naru came through the east point, where nobody can enter from the outside, so he gathered that someone opened up for him, but he did not expect that person to be the head of security. How shameful. Isaki lets out a devilish grin and says that he warned him to stay out of this while fully cloaking himself and immediately attacking Taehyun, who manages to defend himself. Isaki tells him to hand the item over, but Taehyun tells him to take it like a villain should. In that moment, they trade countless flurries of blows, something which cuts up the ground and everything in their path. Isaki's team decides to stay put, as this is a battle between S rankers. If they walk as much as an inch in their battle, they will be chopped into pieces. They continue fighting, with Taehyun thinking that Isaki knows how to use stealth better, as he only predicts the direction of attack through aura and sound. But Isaki can actually see him. He goes behind him and cannot hope to defend himself, so Taehyun is cut up by the katana. They are both stealth users, but Isaki's proficiency is through the roof. However, even with this, he is not worthy to use predation on. He activates his Night King Spirit ability to put all of his subordinates in the ground and also uses rock skin to advance the speed. After that, he wonders where Isaki is, who says that he admires his way of using skills, as stealth is weak against areas of attack skills, but he should have aimed it over his head if he wanted to catch him. With that, he smashes in Taehyun so hard they are sent down multiple levels, finally stopping at level 52. Isaki thinks that it's over, but unfortunately for him, he falls into Taehyun's trap, who calls him a fool. Isaki gets it. The skill he used earlier wasn't to find him, but to make sure that he can't get out of his skills range. He tries to get out, but Taehyun manages to catch him with the chain skill and takes him out with a single powerful punch. After that's done, Taehyun ties Isaki and his team up with his chain ability, with all of them still being conscious. Isaki calls him a rotting bastard, but Taehyun just doesn't get why an S-ranker like him would do all of this just for some bonus cash. Isaki screams at him to shut it, as if it weren't for him, he would have been rich by now. In response, Taehyun kicks him away and says that he's nothing but a low-life criminal. His team still seem worried about him and ask if he's okay, but Taehyun interrupts them by asking about the info on Naranda Neru, as every country's association must have gotten urgent calls for emergency reinforcements anyway. He might as well finish things here before they come. Isaki laughs. Reinforcements? He is nothing but a clueless child after all. At the Player Association facility, a fat man that looks like the spitting image of Santa Claus rushes into the tactic room and asks what happened with the reinforcements that were supposed to arrive at East Point. This is the Alchemist Guildmaster, the S-ranker Seo Sang-gik. He screams at both the chairman and Taewook, as not only were there precious things there up for sale, there were also countless VIPs from the Korean Association. They must do something. The chairman tells him to relax, as they have sent a backup force as soon as they heard about the attack. It's a group filled with elite players, including Park Sungjin. Sang-gik asks why they have not left yet, and that's when the chairman reveals their biggest issue currently, that there is no way to get there currently. Taewook goes further, and says that the attacker took control of the control room, so all of the warp gates are blocked. Sang-gik is about to faint, but Taewook assures him that the situation must be controlled already, as they have 2 S-rankers at the scene. Taehyun has just become S-ranked, but there is only one attacker they have to face, so until they reconnect the warm gates, he is sure that those 2 will hold out, or even take Naranda Neru out of the picture. Suddenly, Yu appears, and says that this would have been true if Naranda Neru was just a regular S-ranker, but she can confirm that he isn't. At the same time as Yu explains the situation to them, Isaki explains to Taehyun, Neru has the contract with the Devil skill, the worst of his skills by far. By offering sacrifices, he will summon a monster of a certain rank depending on how much he sacrifices. Taehyun gets it, that by sacrifice he can only mean one thing: humans. Everyone is shocked by this reveal, with Taewook noting that currently there are around a few hundred hostages, with Sang-gik also adding that Neru is extremely skilled, even among S-rankers. If someone of his caliber were to sacrifice over 100 people and summon a monster, the results would be nothing but catastrophic. Taehyun holds Isaki down while calling them a bunch of lunatics, but Isaki smiles too, as even if he defeats him, he will not be able to win against Neru. He knows that, so he has to make a choice now. Either he begs for his life right now and watches as those hostages who have done nothing wrong are consumed, or go into a fight he has no chance of winning. Inside of the warp gate room, Neru gets the news that Isaki has lost, but they have yet to find out where Taehyun and the Phoenix Potion are. His command? He tells him that there's no chance for Taehyun to defeat him in a one-on-one fight. He is surely waiting for reinforcements, but that won't work. He drags a few people in the air and makes them scream, as he wants to drag him out and show him the festival of their one true god. Suddenly, all of the lights in the room go out, with everyone panicking as to why that happened. But Neru is more worried that his sacrifices he is holding have disappeared. That's when a hidden Taehyun appears behind him and immediately tries to chain him up. This will be a ferocious battle. Thank you for watching. See you next time.